Hey everyone, welcome to the Fortean Winds podcast, where we talk about UFOs and all the related high strangeness. I go by the name of Bones, and with us is the notorious RamX.
Hey everybody.
Hey Ram. Hey, this is going to be a short but sweet holiday edition of Fortean Winds. We had to record just to talk about the drones, a little bit of update, right?
Yeah, I mean, we promised a quick update, and I think everyone's talking about it. It's really on everybody's mind. So, and we've done a bunch of research and we have a bunch of analysis. So let's get it out there.
Just so everyone knows, RamX has been working his ass off putting this analysis together. So this is an important time. So let's lay it on us.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've put in some hours. I mean, if there was ever a time when some data was needed, I think it's now. And you and I talked a little bit about how we were going to standardize the data collection last time, and that helped. So we ended up going with, we're going to use Jersey as a baseline. We're going to use the description of the craft as a baseline. And we're going to say only things that match that description we're going to track in this timeline. So you can check out the map and event timeline on Fortean Winds. There's a really cool interactive map up there. Click on that, and then you can hover over the different sightings and check out the intensity of the different sightings. So, and then on the timeline, what you will see is a synopsis with location and investigation updates on each of those sightings and a news source. Because you were saying how there's just a lot of noise out there, huh?
Yeah, all kinds of noise. I think the biggest learning experience that for me in this whole experience is that I just saw how the news progressed. At first, it was the reports were real simple. We got real simple descriptions and all that, and just the noise that after report just got noisier and noisier.
Right. What do you consider noise? Unpack that a little.
Well, I think, first of all, the noise really comes from just the fact that people are curious, right? So I remember The Guardian was really good at bringing up this topic and being analytical about it. But suddenly, when the story got big, I think everyone just started to launch their own drones.
That did happen, yes. Yeah.
And then reporters too. Everyone started to fall for just, hey, what's that in the sky? They don't know the difference between a regular recreational drone or a professional drone or anything. They don't know what the hell they're looking at.
So let's talk about a little bit about the noise then, and then how our event timeline cuts through that a little bit, to some degree, and allows us to get a clearer view. The noise is coming from every direction. We have, we have the news media who realized that people are really into this story and then wanted to create some sensationalism behind it. And what I see being noise is that the news media is recycling information constantly in order to keep writing articles about it. They're just rehashing the same information, and that's making it really hard to tell what's new, right?
Right.
So
exactly right.
So one of the ways we went about, and where I've been doing over the holidays, is scanning the news reports every day, and then trying to figure out, okay, where has it been reported and validated by the news? And we've always tried to do that when we do analysis. We always try to make it conservative. And that was how we were going to make it conservative, is say, well, we won't count it unless it was reported by the news. And that allows us to cut through a lot of the noise. It was harder to find those reports because, like I said, the news was rehashing everything. But it did cut out all the social media hoopla. There's a ton of reports in social media, and we can look at social media and get a better idea of the intensity of these sightings. Like, we know there's tons of good social media videos coming from Jersey, and we know that that's a super intense area. And so we can look at that for intensity. But as far as tracking the real spread of this, I think we've been relying mostly on local news reports. And I really think that was the right way to do it. And then I guess I did this over the holidays. I'll take that, the credit or the blame. And so, I put together an interactive map which is pretty cool, technically, I think, but that's neither here nor there.
We love maps here, by the way.
Yeah, we love maps.
Fortean
We love
Winds.
data and maps. Yeah. Dorks. So what the interactive map is going to show is that these sightings started on the East Coast, as you guys know, in New Jersey, and Jersey became what I would still say is the epicenter of this. It's still the area of hottest intensity. It's still the most widespread. And we talked about the sensitive sites that are around that. We have analysis going around those sensitive sites up on our website. So that's what that was about. And then it spread. It spread all over the East Coast. At this point, the only state that I couldn't find a local news report with a sighting was Georgia on the East Coast. I could find some for pretty much all the other states. So all up and down the East Coast. But then it started appearing sporadically on the West Coast. There was a random Oregon sighting. There's been a bunch of sightings in Southern California now. So, but those started sporadically. Those started around Camp Pendleton near Temecula. And those looked like recon or just, smaller probing activities. Those did not, right? I mean, it looked like the main fleet was moving from east to west, and it still does.
Is that a Marine base?
Yeah, Camp Pendleton is a Marine base.
Pendleton,
Mm-hmm.
right.
But you have a naval base just south of there.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then 29 Palms, there's a bunch of stuff in Palm Desert. You're not too far from JPL. Space Force is on the West Coast, which I'm a little surprised I haven't read any reports around Space Force. But there's some conspicuous absences here. And that's notable. So a couple of conspicuous absences in the data. Nevada and the area around Space Force, which is Central California. Yeah, not much reported from those areas.
Yeah.
And Nevada's Area 51. I mean, this is supposed to be ground zero, and not much reported.
Yeah.
I've been looking, but if anyone out there hears of that stuff and it's a news report, we're going to try to do that, local news report, just to kind of cut through the noise. I mean, we know that obviously people are reporting real things on social media, but we have to somehow create a way to look at this. And we would have never been able to track the spread if we were just trying to take in all of those different inputs, right?
Yeah. One of the things I've seen online, I haven't really looked into it myself, though, is that people are monitoring flight data. You can get like an app called like
Flight Tracker.
Radar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or Flight Tracker. Yeah, and they're monitoring the patrolling basically, because you can kind of notice when flight tracks are patrolling because they're obviously going in a pattern. And I saw that there was a lot of patrolling going on in the Southwest, in the Pacific Coast. So I don't know. Yeah,
there's super active that someone's been posting like the USAF transponders of the Air Force.
Right.
Where are the Air Force planes today? And they sure look like they're looking for something.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit about the conspiracies going around and whether or not, we see any validity in those, or whether or not they are supported by the data. At this point, these sightings are worldwide. We haven't been tracking the international incidents as closely, and I just can't. I don't have the time to go through all the other countries' news as well as ours. And I'm only going to keep this up for till the end of the year. And that's really, at this point, I think it's the people who've needed the data, used it. And so if you need the data and you're using it, let me know. But I'm going to only keep it up for us until the end of the year so that we have a historical record of this. This is the biggest mass UFO contact sighting ever. Like this is the biggest that we know of in history. So I wanted a record of what went down and when, and we're going to want that going forward, especially when some of the smoke clears. We're going to want to know, wait, what happened? Just like the balloon affair last year. So I think we're going to want to know, wait, what happened? Because this is how they keep the disinformation and misinformation going, is they make you forget about what actually happened.
Right.
So we're going to try to prevent that. But yeah, I wanted to talk about some of the conspiracy theories going around. Which ones have you heard?
Conspiracy. Oh my God. I always have my filter on, when it comes to that stuff. Conspiracy theories, it's been more about just kind of a balance for me, because there's a lot of skeptics and a lot of people really trying to to put a human hand on everything, or I don't. That's a weird way of saying it, but there are a lot of naysayers out there. Still.
Sure. There's a lot of naysayers, which is that. Let's talk about that first. Naysayers who are saying this is all manned aircraft, or it is prosaic objects in the sky. So we have law enforcement who've been recording and tracking these objects on infrared and thermal, and they've avoided that sort of detection.
Right.
There is no commercial drone that can do that. So we're looking at some sort of advanced military grade drone, and there's nothing public that tells us what that would be. So you're talking about a fleet of advanced military drones, because they cannot be commercial. I'm sorry, but
they can't.
Right.
But that's the thing. That's we'll go back to my early argument. What I was saying is that we used to get much more precise information earlier, because earlier we were told that these things were the altitude was ranging from like 100 feet to like 30,000. Yeah, but we don't hear about that much anymore.
Right. Because it busts the narrative. There's no drone that goes that high. The highest I think a successful drone flight has been like 15,000. It's like half of that.
Right.
So you're not getting there. There's no way. And and then to say that there's a fleet of those flying around, that someone figured it out and built an entire fleet, so the big conspiracy, and I have to accept that this is somewhat plausible or somewhere believable that it is the government. That it is, right? I mean, let's talk about that for a second, because
could be.
At first I dismiss stuff like that kind of out of hand, because I see somewhat of the military intelligence community as being Keystone cops, but they've sure pulled the wool over everyone's eyes on this one. So maybe it was 5D chess. I don't know, but I don't think that the government en masse is organized enough to carry out a conspiracy. It has to be coming from a very small group, and that is what our evidence suggests. And I am going to give you a few of those names today.
Are you teasing? You're teasing.
I'm teasing. Well, we haven't got there. Like, how can you talk about the UFO control group?
I know.
I guess mid-break right there.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway. So they avoid thermal. They stay up in the air too long. They avoid infrared. Too high of altitude. They're not drones.
Yeah.
They're not drones. So either we're looking at a hyper-advanced, or the most common name being thrown around for this sort of deep government conspiracy is to call it some sort of deep state activity, or Project Bluebeam, which is an idea that the government is enacting this as some sort of psychological control or manipulation. You know what? It is my least favorite theory for all the reasons I just told you, because I just don't think that they got it together enough to do something like that. But I have to say it's possible. It doesn't really match the evidence in a lot of ways, because it is worldwide. So, and it's mostly in the U.S. So it's just making the U.S. look bad. Our military is looking bad. Our elected officials are looking bad. It's just making the U.S. look overall weak and stupid. And this is the most powerful military force, as far as we know, to ever exist.
Right.
And they look powerless right now. So it doesn't really match up, unless this is like some sort of Cobra terrorist organization. Remember Cobra from G.I. Joe? Like, that would be...
Oh, shit.
If this was like a private entity that, like, or Hydra from Marvel, that some sort of comic book, like, group out there doing this. And I know people love these sorts of conspiracies, but it'd be hard to pull off. You got to admit that, without all of us knowing.
Yep.
So, least favorite conspiracy theory here. What I do think is happening, and I'm going to publish our analysis, and this wasn't just me, this was me and a couple of people as well as a couple of robots. So we went through that whole timeline, the event and news analysis timeline, as well as the spread of the map. And we decided, okay, this is what it is. And it's one of my favorite analysis I think we've ever done. It is the best one. It's maybe a page long, because that's what a real intelligence analysis should look like. And it's just the facts, and it's just a few options. And those few options are either an advanced breakaway 50 to 100 years ahead human segment of this society. That could be part of the government, it could be whoever you want to name there, whatever name you want to put there. That's one option. Option two is that this is non-human intelligence. The only incidents where we have seen this sort of scientifically known behavior, electromagnetic frequencies, avoidance of detection, is in non-human intelligence associated craft. So that makes these most likely to be non-human intelligence. Now, would the government be launching their hyper advanced stuff to go intercept or interact with these things? Yes, absolutely. That will be part of the misidentifications. Is my neighbor Bob flying his drone every day for the first time in years? Yes. Bob is part of the misidentification. And he was doing that while I was charging mine. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm having a problem. So, that's what it is. So we've either got one of two options. Let's cut through the noise. Either it's deep state or blue beam or government crash retrieval, UFO control group, whoever you name them. Either it's them or it's these NHI, but it's really definitely these NHI are part of it. Yeah. Whatever else is up there, let's figure it out as we go. Who knows? That's what we asked them the last time.
Here we go.
Who knows? Who's in that UFO control group? I can give you three names. I can give you George Bush Jr., Dick Cheney, and Bill Nelson, head of NASA. Those are three people. Three people calling shots. Yeah.
So you're saying that they know what's going on right now?
I'm sure that they know what's going on right now, and they have a say in it.
Huh. They have a say in it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So how this all works. This is being held in defense contractors right now. Who's calling the shots, right? If it's not the president, and if it's not Congress, who's calling the shots? That means it's the Pentagon. And the Pentagon can do that because they're hiding behind classification. Who's got control of the classification? If it's not the president and it's not Congress, who's got control and who's kept it all this time? It's been the same group of people. And how would they keep control without being an elected official? By controlling defense contractors and controlling what they call government in and outs. That's what Grush said at the first hearing. Remember, we called it out way long ago. Government in and outs. That's key. Focus on that.
Cheney was one of the most famous government in and outs.
Booyah. Yeah. And we just followed that thread. It didn't do it until now, but we did. And you are definitely one of them, Dick. You're definitely one of them.
Interesting.
There will be more. There will be more. The problem is, what do you do? Do you subpoena them and bring them in front of Congress? They're just going to hide behind classification. No. There's nothing you can do. But I'm telling you where to look. Yeah. I'm telling you where to look.
You're talking about Dick Cheney. What about Dane Cook? So, we have Dane Cook now. Very, very popular. He's an
actor, comedian, right?
Yeah. He's posting his own stuff.
Yeah, Dane Cook was up on the roof of Funky in Beverly Hills, and he spots a mystery drone, and he does a really long, good capture. It's on X or Twitter, and we also linked to it right there on the timeline because it was a long one, and there was a news article about it, so it counted. But yeah, it totally matches the description of Jersey. Now, what was it doing over Beverly Hills? Because we pointed out most of these are grouped around sensitive sites. And why would it be over Beverly Hills? You're pretty close.
Some would say that Beverly Hills is the most sensitive.
Why would it be the most sensitive?
I'm just kidding. So yeah, why is that?
You're digging a grave right now.
Yeah, right.
No,
because
there's no sensitive targets there, right? Or no sensitive
right.
military installation. I shouldn't say that.
No.
There is high-value targets. There's a ton of high-value targets there. So if you're looking for something sensitive, you were looking for someone. And these drone thingy UAPs, I think, are looking for someone, among other things, or logging and cataloging. They're looking at people.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's almost like they're egging us on. They want to see us looking up.
They want us to see them, clearly.
Yeah.
But the public reaction is still bizarre. We're still not saying unidentified. We're still not saying UAP. And I just feel the need to point out again, UAP characteristics are scientifically known. They're in Department of Defense reports. They're in scientific papers. They have been publicized by the news media. So they are scientifically known. If these things match, which they do, all of those things, they're friggin' UAP. Yep. You want to blame them on whomever, blame them on whoever, but they're UAP.
All right, so now what?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a mayor named Ryan Hurd from New Jersey, and this is a super connected tech guy, and he went out and figured out a way to start attacking the problem, technically, the right way. And he got experts. And he got stonewalled. He got stopped by the federal government. They don't want to solve the problem. They don't want us to know more information about the problem.
Right.
They want to stonewall and hope it goes away, without giving us any more information about what is in our skies and what we've been interacting with since time immemorial.
Right.
So they can stop law enforcement, but there's nothing stopping you from putting an SDR up. And you could get one for about $40 on Amazon. You can turn your laptop into a software-defined radio. So if you're in one of those hotspots, collect some frequencies. See what signals are going out. Pretty interesting experiments, and then share it out. But as far as the U.S. government is concerned, it's going to take intense pressure. That is what is next. Because if they're stopping, last time we recommended law enforcement take these steps. Law enforcement was taking those steps along with local authorities. So if that didn't work, and the government's stonewalling that, then it's up to us to put intense, constant pressure on them.
Yeah, for sure.
Congress needs to threaten the purse. Stop playing.
Right. I mean, it just seems like a whole cat and mouse game. Like nothing's really going to come of it. They tease us a little.
If we roll over and let them. And I'm shocked at how many people are rolling over and let them. That reminds me of that, Marvel's coming up a lot today, but that first Avengers movie, that when Loki is walking through and he's like, you were born to be led. Like, you crave it. That infuriated me when I watched that in the theater. I was like, no, we're not. This is making it look like maybe at least this big segment of the population is that way. Yeah. That they really just want to be led. They really just want to go back into their digital cage and call it a day. Yeah.
So, I mean, all in all, what we need to do, we need to get together. We need to pressure Congress and people. If you want to really make a difference, and this is real, go to house.gov, and you could find your representative. They have a whole little deal. Find your representative, call them. You leave a voicemail. Tell them that you want to know what the hell's going on, and pull the nuclear option. Say, tell us what's going on, or defund the DoD.
That's right.
Right. The Congress has the power of the purse.
Yep.
They should be able. They're supposed to be. They're the biggest congregation. They're supposed to speak for us.
Yep.
Do it. Use what you got.
That's right.
So
that's the only way the checks and balances work. That's it. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the president is the commander in chief. The commander in chief is off the grid. Doing whatever. Right. He's getting ice cream. So that means it's up to Congress. The Senate is not supposed to do that.
Right.
So it's got to be Congress. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great call. I hope people will do that.
Well, hey, we should probably end it there. This is just a short update when it comes to the so-called drones. We're not going to call them drones anymore. So wipe that out of your vocabulary. No more Forteans. But hey, thanks for listening. Happy holidays, everyone.
Oh, yeah, it's the holiday. It's going to be Christmas. So, look, I am super grateful, especially right now, that we have such a wonderful audience. And thank you for listening.
For sure.
I mean, to be able to talk about this in a rational way, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way, like you really want to cut through the noise. And I'm just so grateful we've found all of you, and you have found us, and that we can at least try to attack this with some sense of logic and reason.
Definitely. Right on. Have a happy holidays.
You as well, buddy.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
This is the Fortean Winds podcast. Thanks for listening.